Hi, welcome to Promo Perspectives, a live podcast presented by Sage dedicated to giving promotional products, suppliers, and distributors tips, tricks, and insights to help them grow their businesses. I'm Gabe Gotai, Senior Marketing Coordinator here at Sage. We've been diving deep into digital marketing lately, and for good reason. Sage just snagged the #1 spot on this year's PPAI Online 18. That's the industry's annual list highlighting the best social media performers. And today, we've got a real treat for you. I'm excited to share an interview we did with Jenna Quaranta. If you've been in this industry for a bit, you know Jenna. She's an absolute powerhouse, not only making 3 consecutive appearances on the Online 18, but also being a driving force behind HPG's incredible online presence and developing a game-changing field sales training program. Her insights are invaluable, so without further ado, here's my conversation with Jenna.
I've been very blessed to be in this industry for the last going on 16 years. Is that right? Oh my gosh. Wild. Started my career with AlphaBroder. Started as an inside sales rep, actually. Worked real hard, got promoted, rather quickly. And I ended up being their senior consultant for quite a long time. And through that experience, I had a really big territory and a really big book of business that I just honestly, Gabe, could not wrap my arms around. But I started to write my own patterns and write my own formulas. If I go back and re-engage this person who gave me that order last week for polos, I could maybe upsell them to Under Armour next week. I'll just re-engage them. And so I started to create my own re-engagement strategies just to kind of have my own mental health back in my day, managing really large relationships. So then I wrote a sales cycle, which at the time I just called a formula. So long story short, I started writing my own sales methodology during my time at AlphaBroder after surviving a mass shooting. And that was in 2017 that I went through that Route 91 was when that happened. And I wasn't talking to people. I wasn't putting myself out there. I was hiding behind a computer, which I knew was okay. I was recovering. But I created a Monday through Friday prospecting schedule to force myself to talk to people. So it was all around re-engagement. Each day had a different re-engagement tactic. And one day was about LinkedIn. Friday was calling former customers. And on a Friday, it put a smile on my face to reach out to somebody from the past. So my sales method, my sales prospecting schedule became my healing process in addition to my relationship with God and, of course, therapy. So once I created this, I realized, holy moly, I think this would work twice as fast on the distributor side. So I actually left and went to the distributor side. And I was there for 2 years. And it did work really fast. I was writing millions of dollars at a rapid speed by following my own sales methodology, a sales cycle, a prospecting schedule, talk tracks, formulas, and a profiling template. I was constantly profiling my business. I was constantly taking what key information matters and how do I leverage that to build credibility with them. Anyways, I say all the time that if the relationship is there, you can talk about anything. If you can talk about anything, you can ask anything. If you can ask anything, you can probably sell anything. And so long story short, I came back to the supplier side. I was invited to come back to the supplier side as VP of sales for another organization. And I knew that we would move units fast as a startup if I gave away free sales coaching. I called it business coaching at the time. I didn't even call it sales coaching. I just started giving distributors who were coming to us asking for a quote on polos or jackets. I'd say, who's the end user? And I'd say, hey, by the way, here's the pain points in their industry. You might want to run to a massage gun at so-and-so because they're having, this and this. Offer that. There's an upsell. And I started consulting in hopes that they would return back to us because they trusted me and they wanted to buy our apparel brand. It worked pretty quick. And what happened was a brand was born, field training was born. And out of that became a tactical 6-week sales academy where I just continued to coach people, Gabe. They just kept coming back to me and they trusted me and they still do. So here I am now blessed as the director of sales and, training over here at HPG. And I'm coaching over 100 people a week right now through my own sales academy that I wrote, my own original everything. And here I am. The understanding it gave me was what end users really need to build fast credibility and rapport. It's not flyers and storyboards, it's samples. It's questions. It's saying, hey, I know that you're managing this in your industry. We can solve that for you with this service or product. So I realized very quickly that they just wanted something differently. And suppliers, we train our distributors to talk product and samples and catalogs all day. We train them to do that. How I knew it would work on both sides and faster on the distributor side was for 10 years at AlphaBroder, I was involved in some of the largest conversations in the industry, some huge, huge programs, huge opportunities. And I'd come back from the end user meeting and call my customer and say, hey, what did your client say after we spent 2 hours with them the other day? Did they like anything? Is there any feedback? And I'd hear back, oh, let me call them. Oh yeah, I haven't heard back. Let me ask. So I learned very quickly, distributors do not have a habit of re-engagement. They have a habit of service and maintenance. I watched it for 10 years. It's still happening actually, except for the folks that have come through my academy and leveraged what I've given them as far as tools to break that habit. But I also noticed the other thing. Distributors did not a lot of them do research and discovery. I, on the supplier side, was doing it. Let me look into this. Let me look what their pain points are. Let me make the right recommendations. Hey, what you brought to the table is a great polo, but that's not the right choice here. They're probably going to need snag resistant because look, they're hiring for technicians. I was doing the research. So I realized if I could write a roadmap, a sales methodology that had two bookends, I did the research, the prep. And then if I had a bookend of re-engagement, I would just sandwich in the middle what they're already doing, presenting, sampling, wishing, hoping, really good service, just chilling. And so that's how I knew it might work faster on their side of the business because really what I was doing, Gabe, was I had guaranteed myself a 2 to 4 week sales cycle. Right now, distributors, like I hear they say it's like 4 to 6 weeks. Suppliers are longer, obviously, because we're waiting for them to get back to us. Like, let us know what your customer says, wish and hope. So what I was doing was I was holding my clients accountable to give me answers. And Gabe, everything that I give away in this approach right here, this perspective, is because I did take translating surviving a mass shooting and I did translate that into a sales perspective. I do not want my time wasted. I'm also not going to waste your time. I'm also going to give my clients an enhanced experience by being very direct. So when I was following up on things, I was just asking questions like, hey, does it make sense that we continue exploring this? If distributors ask that more, you get faster answers. And so that's all I was doing is I knew how distributors were going to market. They were not asking direct hard questions. They were stopping at maintenance and there was not a lot of re-engagement and there was a big lack of discovery and research. Influence in this industry is not about followers. It's about trust. And trust comes from being real. You and I had a quick chat before we started this. I'm going to be real today. And I didn't set out to build a brand, never set out to build a brand. I didn't even know 4 years ago I'd be a sales coach. I thought I'd be a realtor in 2020. I was like, oh, I'll go back into law enforcement. Not kidding. I did say that. I had no idea I'd be here. I took my story, my failures, my wins, the messy stuff for sure. And I built tools for sales reps like me. I built the FSM sales method. I call it field sales method, FSM for short. I built that for me first. I built that for me to recover after surviving a mass shooting, to get myself back out there and to handle my mental health. It is a sales lifestyle for reps who want to protect their relationships and their mindset and their mental health. And so authenticity is everything to me, bro. Like it is. And that is how I think you become an influencer. I'll tell you, Gabe, like I'm very blessed. I have a 14-month waiting list right now to get into my academy. And I'll tell you the truth, in my academy about my failures, my successes, I don't pretend. I don't, I lead from experience. I lead from a servant's heart. And, I pray every morning, bro, that God uses me to serve others. And I think that's where the influence comes in, is I'm real. And so people trust me. And so like, it's about trust. That's what it is. And that's why I tell people, you should know who you're following. Like, who are you following? Like, do you know what they stand for? And, so that's that to me. And that's why I like to be an open book, because people do follow me. People do view me as an influencer. My daughter's 13, I want her to know what that means to her as she starts her journey on social media. I have a 30-minute timer. I have 30-minute timer on my Instagram every single day. When it goes off, I'm done. So if I'm being an influencer for those good habits, then that's cool for me. Yeah, I'm down with that. I do have a daughter that is also a little bit in the public eye. And protecting her and her craft and her skill on social media is important to me. She knows my social media rules. I have a 30-minute timer. We talk about it all the time. I'm constantly asking what she's looking at on her phone, who she's talking to. And It's always crafting or something that's very sweet and 13-year-old and her friends, her dance group, and things like that. But at the end of the day, I always tell her, Grace, there's algorithms that can put things in front of you that can create unfair comparisons. You might see other beauty models that are teenagers doing something for fashion or this, and you might say, oh, I wish my hair was that color. And I said, if that's ever happened, you are creating an unfair comparison. And so I'm very open with my child. After I survived that mass shooting, I vowed to God and myself that I would always have an open dialogue with my child about everything. And one thing we talk about often, Gabe, is social media. I tell her the risks and what it can do to her brain, what it can do to her time, her bandwidth, and we she's not in disagreement with me. She gets it. And my co-parent, we are in line with that. So I think the way you protect that is set an example. That's it. Set an example. And I try and do a good job to set an example for my daughter with my time on social media. In fact, Gabe, I'll just add, I spent the last 30 days on the weekends, free time, unfollowing every celebrity I possibly could. I even unfollowed Stevie Nicks, and she's like my favorite singer ever. I unfollowed her, and I unfollowed any brand. I didn't know why was I following Nike? I mean, weird. So I unfollowed any brand, anything. I didn't need to see it. I'm still in the process of doing it. Like I'll tell you some of my favorite retail brands: Vans, Viore, Visla. I don't have a thing for V's, but they all happen to have V's. I unfollowed all of those brands. If I want to see what's new at Vans, I'll go to the website or go to the store. I don't need it. I don't need it in my feed. I don't need I don't need to see it. So any brand, but do I follow Port Authority or Sanmar on Instagram? No. If I want to know what's going on with my competitors, I jump into it. I follow my company, of course, and a lot of my colleagues that support their brands and whatnot. But that's a personal relationship. That's a personal investment for me. I think what I'm really pushing, like when folks come through my academy, is I always tell sales reps, use the free resources that social media gives you. We can do selfie videos. You can add music. You can add timers. You can add ask me a question. You can add links. You can send direct messages. You can send voice messages. You can humanize yourself. You can send a video. And so I think that folks, well, me, I chose to use social media to definitely strengthen my relationships. That's still how I do it. I also use it to rekindle relationships. I also use it to, prospect. Actually, just this morning, I sent 3 Instagram messages to people in the industry that I didn't know, introduced myself as the director of sales over at HPG, and just saying, if you need anything, I'm here, and I'd love to get to know you a little bit. Here's my scheduling link. So, the way that I leverage that is I protect my mental health by being very direct and not just throwing stuff on the wall to see what sticks. I'm not just gonna go follow anyone and everyone. I'm looking for relationships. I'm trying to plant relationship roots. And then I'm just being upfront and transparent with that person. Hi, I want to know you. Shake my hand virtually. Nice to meet you. And so that's one way that I protect my mental health, along with, again, not creating unfair comparisons and not spending a lot of time on social media. I just don't. If you go to, all right, let's use, who can I use as my example? We'll use Natalie Bamco, Natalie O'Leary. All right. Natalie's work page is very public. Okay. I can't tell you what it would say, but maybe it says contact me. There's probably a button she has up, or maybe there's something in her bio, I would assume. If I'm a supplier, basically what she's doing is giving you an open door. Come and knock on my door. It's a public page. Send me a message. You can. Let's follow each other. She's inviting you. So why would anyone hold themselves back? There's a lot of people that get in their own way because they're not sure. YOLO. That's one thing that I came out of that mass shooting with is I just after being shot at for 11 minutes, what else would I possibly be scared of? I'm not scared of anything. You can't scare me. And so reaching out to somebody on social media, Instagram or LinkedIn or whatever, or even in a Facebook group, they exist. Why not? Just do it. They're there. They're there. It's like standing next to a swimming pool saying, "Don't get me wet." You're by the pool. What do you mean? Go away then. See, if people are on Instagram and have a public page, they're saying you can message me. Now, I do not usually request people. I think they're putting a boundary down, and I respect that. But if it's a public page, I'm always following, sending a message, hey, director of sales over at HPG, looking to connect with other folks in the industry. Cheers. That's all I say, because That's the truth. I'm not looking for anything more than that. Yeah. So when you sent me these questions, it was last Thursday. I was on the flight home. I was in Minnesota for a customer event. And I read these questions, and number four, bro, like about brought me to tears. I'll be honest with you when I read it. And I sat there and I was looking at it and I was like, man, I got to answer this honestly. Because I can give like the answer that everyone gives. Oh, be yourself, get behind the camera, do this. I mean, right? Like that's crazy. So I guess I'm going to be real. If you are, if you're a social media, if you're looking to elevate your presence, if you're in this industry, you're a sales rep, sales leader, sales manager, even if you're in marketing in this industry, and if you're looking to elevate your existing presence or start a new one and build one from the ground up, my honest advice right now with what's going on in my life is check in with your partner. That should be step number one. Go talk to your partner. Go make sure that they are in alignment and understand exactly what that means. There could be a time investment, a monetary investment. There's a lot of people that use CapCut. That's, I think it's like $119 a year or something. Like that's an investment. And so it's also an emotional investment. People that are spending an ungodly amount of time on social media might feel like they're getting rejected. I got to do it again, got to do it again. They might be up all hours. So be upfront with your partner. That's my advice. If you're looking to elevate your presence or establish a new one, talk to your partner about it and make sure they know they're going on the journey with you. And make sure they understand why you're doing it. Make sure they understand what the game plan is. And if they're on board, you're set for success. Because you're building something essentially that if you don't talk to them, that could cost a connection. And so I would say whether you're just trying to get started or level up, alignment at home is everything. And build it with integrity and not just intention,
And that brings us to the end of a truly impactful conversation with the incredible Jenna Quaranta. Huge thanks to Jenna for not only sharing her expertise on digital marketing, but also for her openness in revealing the personal experiences that have so profoundly shaped her unique approach to business and leadership. Thank you so much for listening. Make sure to subscribe for more insights and head to go.sageworld.com/podcast so you can register and join us for the next live stream. We'll see you there.